Hi friends, in today's lesson we are going to take a look at using each and every in a sentence. Well, before we start this, I have to tell you something very important. Do you see this link here? Well, if you click on it, it will take you to one of our channels called the Daily Video Vocabulary. Okay, now this link has a lot of lessons based on vocabulary and idioms. Now imagine you're going to learn a new word, how it is used, with 10 example sentences. So imagine if you watch 100 lessons on vocabulary, you're going to have 1000 new sentences. Alright, so please do click on the link and learn new words and idioms. Well, back to today's lesson, each and every. Well, a lot of people get confused because they are similar to each other but cannot be used interchangeably every time. Okay, so first we are going to take a look at how to use each in a sentence. Now what does each mean? Each is obviously singular, okay, it means one. Okay, so if I'm going to tell you study each sentence carefully, I mean study individual sentences. So each sentence over here, I mean one by one, individual sentence. So that means you are going to take up one sentence and study it carefully and then move on to the next one. So each here means individual or one by one. Okay, so study each sentence carefully. Now my next example, each player played well. Now each player means I'm talking about an individual's performance. Okay. So how do they perform? So individually each player played well. So I mean one individual. Okay. Now in my next sentence I have each of the children received a gift. Now when I say each of, okay, I have each of. Remember, you always follow it by a plural noun. So children is plural, right? It's more than one. So you have each of plus a plural noun or a pronoun. So I say each of the children. Now imagine there are so many children here. Okay, so many of them. I'm telling you each. So I'm talking about them as individuals. So each of them, okay, each of the children, singular. So each of the children received a gift. So many children, and well, each of them received a gift. All right. Well, this cannot be in the case of every. You cannot say every of the children. You always say each of. But do remember, after you use each of, do put the noun or the pronoun in plural. Okay. Now he met each of the team members personally. Again, if you see each of, okay, here you have members. It's a plural noun. Okay, so you can't say he met each of the team member. That is absolutely incorrect. Okay, because there's so many team members. So you're saying each of them personally. Alright, so out of many, each of them. So one by one he met each of them personally. So do remember this. You can use each of followed by a plural noun or a pronoun. I can also say he met each of them personally. Okay. Now in my next example, there are two boys. Each is smiling. Now you use each to talk about two things or two people. but that restricts you only to two, okay, not to three and more than three. So two things or two people. So there are two boys, each is smiling. So what I mean to tell you is each of them is smiling. So each is singular, like I said. So definitely the verb that follows is a singular because we are using a singular word here. So each is smiling. Now a lot of people would make the mistake and say each are smiling. Well, that is not the case, though we are talking about two boys, okay, but each is smiling. Okay, you can say each of them is smiling. So remember, we use we use each to talk about two things or maximum two people, but two. Well, in the next example, in a football match, each team has 11 players. Now, you know why we use each here? Because a football match always has two teams participating, right? So we cannot use every. I have heard a lot of people say in a football match every team has 11 players. No, this is absolutely incorrect, okay? Because each is always used for two things, two people, or anything that we talk to, okay? So in a football match, each team, again we have a singular verb because you're talking about each team, okay? Individual team has 11 players, and that is why we use a singular verb. Okay friends, well, I hope you have understood the basic uses of each. Fine, now we are going to take a look at how to use every in a sentence. So now, how do we use every? Every is used for larger numbers and talking about a unit as a whole, okay? I have read every book in the library. Now, why do I say every? I can't even begin to count the number of books a library has, okay? There are more than 2 books, maybe 1,000 books, okay? I have read every book. Well, I have read each book in the library, okay, but it is always better to use every because we are talking about larger numbers or indefinite amount. Okay, so I have read every book in the library. Now in the next sentence, every house in the town is painted white. Now if you go to count the number of houses, it is huge, okay? There are a lot of houses in every town. Fine, so better than each house in the town, it is always better to use every because we are relating to a larger number of houses, okay? More than 2 for sure. And well, the amount or the number is indefinite. We really do not have a definite number. So every house in the town is painted white. Okay, now she plays tennis every Sunday. If you go to see, here I am defining the frequency or telling you how often something happens. So when you say that, or when you talk about a frequency, or when you want to say how often something happens, you use every. Now a lot of people would use each Sunday. Well, this is not correct because we are talking about the frequency of an action. So use every. Okay, so when you talk about frequency, friends, remember to use every. Like in my next sentence, I wash my car every month. Now here I am telling you how often I wash my car every month. I am stating a frequency, so please use every. Okay, now the next example, he carried a bag in every hand. Well, does the sentence sound correct? Now think about it. You have two hands, okay? So when I want to say I carried a bag in both of my hands, I would use each over here, because if you remember when we were learning each, I said that when you talk about two things or two people, always use each. So this is how you cannot use every, okay, because every talks about three or more than three. So the correct one would be he carried a bag in each hand. Definitely he has two hands, so in each hand he carried a bag. Fine. The manager wants to speak to every employee in his office. Now why is it that I have used every here and not each? Okay, that's because there are more than two employees in the organization. So the better thing to say is every. Okay, remember we deal with larger numbers, 3 or more than 3, so use every. So the manager wants to speak to every employee in his office. Fine, so every because more than 2 employees. Well friends, this is how we use each and every in a sentence. And this brings me to the end of this lesson. I hope you enjoyed watching it. Well, as usual, I have a small test for you. Do take it, let me know your scores. I'll be back soon. Till then, take care and bye.